Part two of the Obama legacy, and we're going to talk about the foreign policy. And I think there's no question where we are on this. We look at this as a total failure. You know, as we've said throughout, made it clear, I voted for President Obama both times and was a supporter, and I'm a Democrat. And I'm just so disappointed, especially in foreign policy, with what he did. He went in, and there is no respect for the United States across the world. I mean, he and his advisors can say they are, but he led with, I'm going to withdraw, kind of lay back, and let people see the nice side of America. And I wanted to see if it worked, and it didn't work after a couple of years, because when you leave a vacuum, the others come in and fill that vacuum. And Syria is the perfect example of the biggest failure of the Obama legacy. Is horrible. He and his advisors should well, hopefully never forget it. I mean, we're talking about a situation where the president went in, and he refused to back the first protest, saying he wasn't going to back doctors and lawyers and shop owners and stuff, something like that. And I believe Hillary wanted to back them and move in, and so the Secretary of Defense at that time. We're not talking about with troops, but with aid. He then they then moved forward. He did nothing, and then all of a sudden the chemical weapons came. They were dropping them. He laid a red line down, and they kept dropping the chemical weapons, and he pulled back. He let the Syrians cross the red line. That sent a word to the world. But let's just look at what it did there to the Middle East. By doing that, the Russians knew they could walk right in. There's the vacuum. They came in, and they were going to get involved and just bomb everybody. The thug Putin was bombed all those hospitals. Everybody didn't care. Anything to keep the other thug Assad in power. Lost hundreds of thousands of people. Killed, slaughtered, innocents. Not only that, so many refugees came flying across through Greece, all over Europe. Europe's got to deal with it now. And that's because we blew it. Nobody had respect for the United States. We did nothing. We talked a lot. We laid a red line. It was crossed. And then everybody did what they wanted to do. So we really hurt our European friends. We hurt Turkey. We hurt everybody by doing this. And you have all these refugees and all these dead people. Libya, we blew Libya big time. We did nothing there. We've lost friendships in Saudi Arabia. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of bad people there, but you have to have your friends and not have your friends. We lost our friendship with the Saudis. We just had to deal with them, but they had to deal with us. They weren't too happy. Israel was very unhappy. Jordan wasn't happy, but they're not big enough to really say much. Egypt was unhappy. We made threats against Egypt and al-Sisi, and what happens? Nothing, and we just support the Egyptians. It was promise after promise, broken. And as their foreign policy went forward, we did nothing. We really didn't help anybody. And all we did was hurt people by pulling back. And now our defense is worse. We were talking for years how where this is going to lead, because now you have the Chinese all over the South China Sea. You have Russia incredibly aggressive. And now we have Donald Trump as our president with no foreign policy experience. Looks like he kind of has a cadre of good guys around him. I mean, gender neutral there, but I don't know all the people, but he has no experience. This is going to be a problem. It's what we talked about as being the black swan. And the president, he made his turn towards Asia. What happened? Nothing. Tip fell apart, and the Philippines doesn't like us, and the Japanese weren't in love with us, and the Chinese spit in our face, and here we are. Here we are, building up a new defense. We're going to be pumping all this cash into the military. Said we were going to do this for years, but it's just hopefully will help the economy. But we're going to go into a war footing. We may not be at war, but we're going to go into a war footing by building all this up. The rest of the world's going to do it, and we're just going to be at loggerheads. Friends with Russia's, enemies with China. Look at our earlier one. Russia friend, China enemy. Was that Tarzan? I don't know. But this is all because of the failure of the Obama foreign policy. Aided and abetted by John Kerry, by the way. But just really pushed through and his advisors. An F. This is a great F. I don't think, unless we get into a big war, I don't think Donald Trump could do any worse. What a sad situation for the Hope and Change president. Peace.